Hello, everyone. Welcome to My Ties at Sunset. I'm Ty.
And I'm Mai, and I set an intention that we're going to have an amazing conversation today and that we embed good energy so that whenever you listen to it, you will always feel the good energy that comes out from our conversation, and we're going to have a lot of fun.
That's right. Happy Aloha Friday, and it is Pau Hana. Do you have your drink ready?
Drink ready.
I have mine.
I don't know if mine's going to be... Oh, yeah.
There we go. So today we were going to talk about some kind of interesting topics that a lot of people have been bringing up about Hawaii, and I think you have a lot of experience with it. So can you tell us a little bit about real estate and how that's going? I mean, we always see those things in the news, like people are buying up real estate, but it's actually not locals. It's more international people. So can you tell us more about real estate in Hawaii?
Well, Hawaii has a very interesting market because we're islands. We don't actually have a lot of land space, so real estate can actually be very costly. I just checked, in fact, today that the median sales price for houses in Hawaii is around $900,000.
Okay.
Which on top of our living expenses can be, quite costly. So it's not really the most affordable place to live. And I thought that maybe because there's a lot of talk about things shifting to be a more seller's market and that prices might start coming down, I think that's not going to happen for Hawaii for at least a few more years. We're usually behind what the mainland, the nation, is doing. But we have, right now there is great interest rates. So a good interest rate will balance out your mortgage payment, even though your purchase price is high. It's still kind of a seller's market. So inventory is really low. And especially if you want to live in certain parts of the island. And I know that we spoke earlier and I had to say, wait, save it for the podcast. I also looked, there are some places, you can get an apartment in Waikiki for $280,000, around there.
But that does not include a parking space or air conditioning or any type of lift.
And
no elevators.
Yeah. And so different neighborhoods have different personalities. It kind of really depends on what you're looking for. If you're a young family coming to settle in Hawaii, or even if you're a local who's lived here, you know that your most affordable options are on the west side of the island, where they have newer developments that are as recent as a few years old. And I think the sales price around there, you can get something like a small family home for as little as $600,000, which isn't too bad. But just know that the sacrifice that you make to live out there, if you have to drive and you work or you go to school at the University of Hawaii in Manoa, that's like a 2-hour drive on our little tiny island just to go from Manoa or from Honolulu area to the west side.
No one wants to live on the west side. No hate to the west side, but the traffic is terrible and they have not finished the rail, which apparently has no completion date at this point. So you're basically sitting in your car for 6 hours at a time trying to get out to Ewa. Ewa's beautiful, the Disney resorts out there. You've got Nanakuli, you're going all the way out, but it's just so isolated from where town is. Basically,
it is growing. They've been promising this second city, the second Honolulu out there on the west side for more than 10 years. And there are some government offices out there, like the DMV is out there, and
I know the FBI
Satellite City Hall. Yeah, because they got beautiful new buildings that they can move in instead of the old ones in Honolulu.
That are struggling with their air conditioning and their carpeting and all the things.
Yeah, all the things. It's an island and island living. But, traditionally, Hawaii residents always knew that you could move to the neighbor islands and it would be a lot cheaper. Unfortunately, a lot of Oahu realtors who We have a little bit more expensive price on Oahu specifically because of your proximity and closeness to Honolulu, to Waikiki, to all the dining and the shopping and the conveniences that come with living in a major city, and the international airport. Then you go to the outer islands and things, your lifestyle, just your daily lifestyle becomes a little bit more expensive. Like you're going to pay more for gas. You're going to pay more for groceries. But
But you
the
still have a
housing,
Costco. Most of the
there,
islands have Costco's now.
Maui does, and the Big
I think
Island.
Kauai. Oh, Big Island, yeah.
Because
I don't know
I'm
if
not
Kauai has
sure
one.
about Kauai. Definitely not Molokai.
They definitely have a Walmart. I know that for sure. They got a Walmart. I will say for the record, and for people who have not lived in Hawaii, they don't have a Chik-fil-A, they don't have a Panera, and they don't have a Sonic or an Olive Garden. But those things are
Oh,
supposed
we
to be in
just
the
got
works.
Olive Garden at
Oh,
Ala
you
Moana
just
Shopping
got it?
Center. We
Oh my
just got an
goodness.
Olive
I bet
Garden.
it's so busy all the time.
Well, I've not ventured out because of the pandemic to our beautiful Ala Moana Shopping Center as of yet. But I did see coverage on the news, and people who did brave it, they were in line. There was a line
There's always
all
a line for
over.
everything.
Yeah, there's a line for
Anything that's
everything.
new and fancy, there's always a line. Like I think when the Dunkin' Donuts opened
Yeah,
down by the airport, it was like insane, and now it's like empty. So
yeah,
it dies down after a bit, right?
yeah.
But it's just funny to tell people like on the mainland, like,
Mhm.
oh, there's no Chick-fil-A there, or there is no Sonic, or there's no like basic things that you would get in most
Most
cities.
places. Yeah, and I really enjoyed Chick-fil-A when I went and traveled to the mainland. I also really like Chipotle, and I don't have one of those either.
Chipotle, yeah. Chipotle would do really well in Hawaii, I feel like. Right in Waikiki. Because there's just so
You
many
know what?
people who know it and they would just grab it and go.
Yeah, I would love to have an In-N-Out.
That would be insane. I feel like the line for In-N-Out, it would definitely have to be on the west side because the line alone would
Mhm.
be wrapping everywhere, like around the entire island, I feel like.
I'm not
The worst
sure
place they
that
could put it is in the North Shore.
I know. I'm just not sure that they could have the same price points that they have on the mainland. Just
Probably
because
not.
everything's so much more expensive. I mean, you come to McDonald's here, Burger King here, the prices aren't the same as the mainland. And if you ever
Nope,
look
no
on the
dollar menu.
commercials, yeah, look on the commercials, there's always an asterisk and it says at the very bottom in small print, not necessarily in Hawaii or
Alaska.
Alaska, Hawaii, and I think sometimes Guam is included in that little fine print.
Oh, Guam. Guam is so pretty too. I remember coming into that airport and I was like, this is a small airport, but look at that ocean.
Did you spend time in Guam?
Oceanfront property. I did for the military a little bit. We did like a couple trips to Guam and we drilled with people from Guam and I mean, I just remember flying in and I was like, this is really nice. I think I stopped there on my way to Hong Kong actually one time.
My dad was over there, and his memory was that the humidity is higher than it is here in
Wow.
Hawaii. And he also said that there are snakes in the trees
Snakes in the trees. That's
and they will
something I would
fall on
be
you.
mildly frightened of.
Yeah, I would be like very frightened to walk under any
Have a
trees.
have like a snake fall on you. I don't think most people would survive that moment. They probably would like have a massive anxiety attack. I think, when I was looking for real estate over in Hawaii, it was tough because you have to make sure that you have a stable career. And I know a lot of people talk about, Hawaii's all about connections just because it is a small island, especially Oahu. Like it's just a small island and you have to have really strong family connections or you have to like really know that you're going to be in your job for a long time
Hmm.
because that gets you more of an in as far as real estate. This is from me as a buyer, as a shopper. A lot of the real estate, it's shocking. Like a 2-bedroom, 1 bath goes for $1 million, depending on, where you are, especially on the windward side. And you would look at it and you'd be like, all right, so this could buy me 3 houses in Texas with like an average of 3 bedrooms, two and a
Hmm.
half bath, 2-car garage, things like that. Where you're looking at a 2-bedroom, 1 bath that's like stuck on top of another person's house because you basically share like the same front yard. And then
Yeah,
there's no parking.
there's
And I
no
think parking is like
parking.
really important.
The only bummer that I find about Hawaii, and I don't know if this is prevalent in other parts of our country, but the housing is just so close. that
Yeah.
I can hear my neighbors flush the toilet. I can hear their conversations. And you just try to be polite and quiet and not be the loud neighbor, but it's the wind carries everybody's
Well, and you got
voices
your windows
everywhere.
open if you don't have air conditioning. But I would say like your house is like pretty big and your neighbors' houses are decent size.
Yeah.
So it's not like, we're not imagining like a shanty on top of shanty, but still like
Yeah.
being that big and still close is like it's a big deal. I mean, any little piece of land is worth something. And so, yeah. That
And
was
in
that was
Hawaii,
one of the things that I was looking for was some
yeah,
space and that just costs way more.
it does cost a lot more. And the better neighborhood you're in, these are multi-generational family homes
Right.
now. Just because
Yeah.
children can't necessarily go out and buy a property, and mom and dad doesn't want to have to like make sure that they have to bail them out because Hawaii can, if something goes wrong and you're struggling to just make your mortgage payment on top of your utilities, you lose your
Yeah.
house, and it's very sad. So a lot of multi-generational homes, people have built these additions onto their properties. In fact, they started, I think we just passed recently the ability to um, get permits and for tiny homes on your property, which is a new
Okay.
thing. And I know that you're interested in possibly buying some land and building tiny
Yep.
homes or prefabs. And I'm super excited about that because there is such a boom of these architectural little gems that people have built. And you just buy it and have it installed.
I know like a lot of people can't fathom like living in a 399 square foot tiny home, but when I was looking at some of these, they're just made for efficiency and to be smart. And, my idea for looking at a tiny home to put on some land that I want to purchase is is that it's just easy, it's done already, and it has everything you need. It has a fully functional kitchen. It's like a full kitchen. It has like a wraparound deck with a fireplace, and
Mm-hmm.
there's two actual bedrooms. One is like a loft style, and then it's like a short ceiling, but you can
Mm-hmm.
still get up there and go lay down and all that stuff. But and then they have a full bedroom that can actually accommodate a king size bed and two dressers, which is big. I would say that the closet is very small, but you
Mm-hmm.
know, you could always put a shed out there and make it your private closet. I mean, a little tiny shed is like nothing,
Yeah.
compared to buying like a whole full brick and mortar store type of home.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's just fun to think about like all these other ideas of like putting a prefab home down and
Mm-hmm.
it's done and it can be custom. It can cost as much as a normal house, but there's other ways to live. And I think tiny homes in Hawaii is actually a smart way to go
Mm-hmm.
because you can put a lot more people in a smaller kind of area and then they work. I mean, they're reasonably priced. It's like buying a car, I would say.
It's
That's what the
definitely an investment.
prices look like. Hmm.
And the thing about property and real estate, it may fluctuate with the market, but overall, it's most likely going to gain in value, especially if you're investing in a good neighborhood that's going to continue to grow. I always feel that real estate is a solid investment.
Yeah, and out here, in Texas, a lot of the land that is available for purchase
Hmm.
is only like 30 minutes from like major stores and such. And what I am starting to find is that the communities are starting to spread towards those pieces of land. So as time goes on, the cost of that land will go up because people are going to want to build houses and communities. And right now, like the
Hmm.
whole kind of urban planning that people are doing for the city of Katy and Cypress is that they're building these huge communities with like center, like kind of like agoras, like where people can meet up. So they're community centers, city centers, and they have like all the drugs, like a drugstore, they have a Walmart, they have a grocery store hub, and it's just like a hub. So it's
Hmm.
community hub, and it's really interesting how it's starting to develop more. I've pretty much have lived here all my life in when I'm like, even though I lived in other places, like my family has always stayed here. And watching it go from cattle country to like full on urban city with like
Hmm.
millions of strip malls, it just amazes me like how quickly it developed over 20 years,
Mm-hmm.
20 to 30 years, actually. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, it's just interesting how like different parts of the country also are developing differently with a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the homes here are very cookie cutter now, and they're not well made. A
Yeah.
lot of the homes are not well made because they're just trying to mass produce to get people out here.
Yeah.
And I would say, like, the newer homes, like people knock down older homes in Hawaii and then they rebuild. I
Yeah.
think it's a little bit smarter how they're doing it,
Well, it's
functional
just you have to
spaces
put
and things.
a lot of thought into what you're going to build. There are prefab homes that some builders do use, but most of them are custom. They're custom homes because people have
Right.
different needs for their families. And if it's multi-generational and you have mom and dad who are aging but you don't want to have so much yard work, you build a larger house. It's more house
Right.
to clean. But I really miss the neighborhood, how it used to be before everybody started building up and everybody had big trees. We had a big tree in our yard. We had a giant ulu tree or breadfruit tree. And it was like the place to be in the neighborhood. All the kids, my friends in the neighborhood, we would all spend hours and hours every day. And when the sun would get hot, and we would be sitting under that tree just playing.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Like as land becomes more expensive, we have to like knock down the greenery to
Mm-hmm.
make way.
Mm-hmm.
In my neighborhood, my older neighborhood, they took out the median, like in the middle, beautiful trees, like oak trees, like huge ones, and they took them all away to make a bigger
Oh.
lane. And I just was recently introduced to a video of like how they move trees. I don't know if they moved these ones necessarily, but like
Mm-hmm.
they redid a park and they dug up the tree, like
Mm-hmm.
most of it, and like like cut the roots to a
Yeah.
certain shape, and then they put on these logs and they roll the tree to a new destination and then replant them. So you don't have to lift the tree up and damage it. You're
Yeah.
just like kind of raising it up on these little rolling logs and they roll
Uh-huh.
the trees along. And I thought that was really cool. Like I wish more developments would do that. It's like save the older trees that have like a lot of like life and longevity
Mm-hmm.
instead of planting
Mm-hmm.
all these like little saplings. And I'm like, dude, this is gonna take forever for these to get as
I
big.
know. I
Poor
know.
things.
Especially really great trees. I had purchased a home where I had a gorgeous mango tree. And I
Oh,
really wanted to keep it. Oh my God, the neighbors love that tree.
I
Unfortunately,
would be
when I
stealing
moved
mangoes
in,
from it. I know
I
that
know
for
I
sure.
was so excited. I was so excited, but it was the roots. It was such an old, big tree. The roots were damaging the foundations of the house.
Oh,
And there was a swimming pool on the property. And if the roots were that far under the house, and they were cracking the foundations of it, I just knew that it
mm-hmm.
was heading towards the swimming pool. It knew there was water there.
It knew.
It knew. And then you worry about, because these trees can get so big, what is the liability to your neighboring properties if the roots of your tree go under the walls of maybe your neighbor's house and under their
Are there no
things?
protections for like certain trees there in Hawaii, or like I never even thought about liability of roots going into somebody else's yard and like messing up their driveway or whatnot. I didn't
Yeah.
even think about that.
Yeah. So definitely you got to check your homeowner's insurance policies, but it's something that I
Yeah.
worry about. And this is actually one thing that when it's really windy, like we have high winds here,
Mm-hmm.
trees are like the scariest thing because when they blow,
Yeah.
limbs can break off, they can fly. And I've seen so much video footage on the news where people have had branches come through their house, crash their roofs, they take down power lines.
That happens like a
They,
lot of places. Yeah.
yeah,
Like trees just
trees,
split a home in half or whatnot. Yeah.
yeah, they're incredibly beautiful. They are, and I love, love, love trees. I'm a gardener. I love plants. So when you have to take down a tree, it's really heartbreaking almost. You're just like, I'm so sorry.
I'm curious, like, people who have a lot of plants in their home. Like,
Hmm.
what's that all about? Like inside the home and not necessarily having a garden. Like they just have a ton of plants.
Well, you like to have plants inside because they help the oxygen to be better. better quality
Okay.
oxygen so you're breathing better oxygen. They clean
More
your
natural
air.
air filter. Yep.
Yeah, and they're
Air
just
purifier.
lovely. They're beautiful.
You ever think plants like just they kind of just grow attached to their owners, like, and that's why when you give a plant away, it dies.
Oh, that is touching. That's a nice thought.
I know. Thank you. Thank you. I am brushing my shoulder off right now.
That is totally in my zen. I love that. I love that. I'm excited though. I know that you're about to embark on this first real estate purchase, and I couldn't be more thrilled for you. Investing in land.
Trying to send out positive vibes to get like everything going, because it can happen all really quickly. Like, you know, once you pick the land, you get the loan, and you're a landowner, and it's like, whoa, what just happened? So I'm hoping it'll be good, and I'll be able to announce it on my ties at sunset. Man, I can't say that. I hope to have good news to share with my ties at sunset, and I think, you know, a lot of people out there are always wanting to send us good vibes, so that's nice to share good news.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
My family's
Congratulations.
excited. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'll be good. We'll have to have another drink when all that comes together.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, I think it's good to bring up, you know, a lot of people don't understand, you know, Hawaii, how it works, the real estate, why is it so expensive? I mean, it's just like the Bay Area. I mean, land is land, you know.
Land is land, and the more limited it is, of course, the more expensive it's going to be. And then you also want to think about things like how far it is that you need to commute.
Yeah.
You want to think about your lifestyle, and yeah, it might cost more. So I'm going to just use Oahu as an example. So a lot of people do work in Honolulu. A lot of students do go to University of Hawaii in Manoa. There is a campus out on the west side, but if you know that your lifestyle is going to take you to these areas often,
Yeah.
it's definitely worth the investment for your own sanity to invest in property or rent a property in the neighborhood that you're going to be in. In fact, I always recommend that you should rent first before you buy in the area that you're considering, to see if the neighborhood works, the lifestyle is going to work out for you, and it's going to be convenient.
Get your feet wet.
Yeah, get your feet wet, especially if you're moving from a completely different state. Yeah, just know what that reality is like. Now, right now, because of the pandemic, I actually want to say, since Hawaii shut down in March of 2020, a lot of people just stayed home. So all that traffic that used to clog up the H1 freeway in the mornings and the afternoon for several hours was gone. Absolutely gone. Because nobody was going to school, nobody was going to work. Everybody was trying to figure out remote working. And if you can work remotely and have like a gorgeous view in Hawaii, if you're going to be affordable though, you're mostly going to be staring at the view of your neighbors just because of how close we are. But if you can afford it and you can live close to that ocean, or preferably up on a mountain where you can get some height and see some views, it'd be a really nice lifestyle. The temperature never gets too hot. It never gets too cold. I mean, I have to say this has been the coldest few days of the year so far. It's dropped down to 57 degrees last night. That was like 2 comforters for me. And I'm wearing a lot of long sleeves.
It's really
pants,
cold across
socks.
the country right now. It's super cold. I mean, overnight it went from 80 degrees to 40 degrees for us.
That's horrible. I can't.
I know up north it's like 0, -15, -11. I was just thinking about that, and I was like, oh my gosh, my lungs are going to freeze. Like, how do these people survive at -15? Like, can you imagine what that even feels like?
I don't know, but some people like the cold. Like my family members, they love when we travel.
Though.
They love when we travel and it's cold. And I'm like, I can visit it, but I can't live there full time. I would rather have high humidity and be too close to the sun and be hot, because I can always go.
Big hair don't care. That's what Mai says. Big hair don't care.
But I can at least run to the ocean.
You can run into the ocean. When's the last time you ran to the ocean, though?
Sometime before March, when everything shut down.
You need a dip. When it gets warmer, you need to go take us and go for a dip in the ocean. Be like, we're here. Don't drop my phone.
Well, right now it's too cold. But surprisingly, even though it's cold, the water around Hawaii is still pretty warm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not cold,
It is.
cold water.
It's a lot warmer than most places. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely like West Coast, the water is so cold, but I'll still get my butt in there. People are like, "Are you cold?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm freezing. I can't feel myself, but I will get in the water because I love the ocean."
I got as far as my ankles on the West Coast in California.
Yeah.
I was near
you can't
Venice.
feel your feet.
Venice Beach.
It is
They
colder.
promised me it was going to be warm, and I was like, no, it's not.
No. No, it's not warm. Well, I think this is all really interesting, and I'm sure it would be great if, like people could put comments or ask questions because, you do know quite a few people, and we could probably figure it out. So,
yeah. I just want to mention that not only are our podcasts on the major podcasting places, but also on YouTube.
Yep. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Our YouTube is doing quite well.
I like our YouTube. Yes, baby start. Yeah. I mean, it takes a while, but I actually would rather look at our beautiful album art. I feel like a rock star when I look at that piece of art. I don't know why. I love the graphics. It looks like an album, a record. I never actually talked about what it was. So the thing that's on fire is a Kadomatsu. And traditionally, this is actually the time of year that you would set it on fire. So you buy one at the beginning of the new year, actually before the new year. So sometime after Christmas, you buy one and you place it at your front door. And you're actually supposed to have two of them, one on each side of your door. And being Asian, this is a tradition that my mother has passed down to us. But they welcome your family spirits and ancestors to come and say hi and party with you through the new year. And then you're supposed to set it on fire to release their spirits, because the Kadomatsu is just like a small home for them to reside in while they're visiting.
You know what? I never knew that story, and that's so cute. And conveniently, it is Chinese New Year next week. So we'll have to do a Chinese New Year podcast.
Yeah, so I know
we both celebrate that.
We both celebrate that. And the Kadomatsu that I have, I mean, traditionally you're supposed to burn it like a few, like around the 1st. But I always wait till Chinese New Year. And I wait till then and I burn it. Because I feel like, my family, they're going to stick around till Chinese New Year too. So,
yeah. I mean, technically it's Chinese New Year. It really is the real New Year. And it is the year of the ox, everyone. So last year, not so great. This year, year of the ox, hopefully its stubbornness does not keep COVID around anymore.
Yeah. So the Kadomatsu was kind of symbolic when we chose that photograph, because 2020 was so difficult that I literally just wanted to set it on fire.
Well, you know what? Are you going to record setting it on fire and put it up for everybody?
Maybe.
Yeah, it would be something for listeners to see, because they're hearing this story, and it would be really great to share. Okay. We would welcome you sharing that, Mai. That's wonderful.
Look for it on YouTube or Patreon.
Yeah, YouTube and Patreon. All right. Yep. So, thanks for joining us on this great Aloha Friday. Aloha Friday. I don't know. I woke up this morning and I texted a bunch of people and I was like, "Happy Friday! It is Pauhana." We're gonna get to that Pauhana moment.
I'm excited for this weekend.
Aloha, aloha. Well, mahalo for everyone for listening. Check us out at mytiesatsunset.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and anywhere else you find your favorite podcasts. And special mahalo to Mai for sharing her insights into Hawaii real estate.
Oh, thank you, and congratulations.
Tune in next time for our Chinese New Year episode.
So excited. I'm ready for a brand new year. Ready to celebrate for sure.
Bring it on.
All right, until we meet again. Ahui ho.